Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Des Rocs? I'm Jordan from Minneapolis. How are you?
Good, Jordan. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You just want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let me turn this air conditioner off. It's all loud. One
Oh, I
second.
feel it. I feel it.
It might be some peace and quiet now. Okay, killer.
Yo, look at you in the sunshine, looking glorious, looking magnificent.
Thanks, man. I think I earned it though. It's been a pretty rough winter in New York, and finally this window is doing some good.
I love it. I love it. Man, we got so much to talk about. The new EP, the past year, the growth, the changes going on in your world. So I want to start off with an anecdote. I saw you in Vegas in February, about two
Oh,
or 3 weeks before our lives changed forever, and you were the highlight of that weekend in terms of live music goes.
oh, thank you.
It just the energy was so incredible. You had the cool like all black with like the stomping with the boots. You can tell that you're a rock star when you stomp with the boots. And the live stuff was just crazy. And then the EP's crazy. This is our life. It's out now. Tell us about it. What's we need to know?
Man, this was our life. I just feel like I wanted to reflect the times, like I always feel like art should be reflecting the time. So for me, I wanted to make something that represented how I was feeling at the time. And I just really wanted to like just scream, you couldn't play shows, there was so much you couldn't do. And for me, it's just a culmination of everything that 2020 meant to me in many ways.
What does it mean? What are some themes that you wanted to highlight? Because they're present in the record, but I want to hear it straight from your mouth in
Yeah.
speaking form, not lyrical form.
I mean, there's always been a lot of introspection in my songs, which is weird because in a way on stage I'm very extroverted. It's a kind of a combination that I like a lot and maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. But those themes got really amplified when I was making this EP because you were just sitting alone, like in this room, working on music, and it's always been an isolating process. But for me, there was like a lot of self-examination. Then I was just thinking about how this could apply to everybody else out there, and I wanted to make the biggest, baddest records I could possibly make for people to sing along to when we got back on stage.
That is it's reflected very well on the record. And you're talking about being isolated and alone, and it's kind of like a let's I want to be very intentional with what I say about this because it's been a tragic year, but this is a kind of an artist's dream just to be locked in to create and stuff.
Yeah, in
And
many ways. Yeah.
yeah, and then but like even with like touring with Muse and all the abilities that you could in a DAW, you have access to every synth ever and you could just play around, but you chose to keep it rock centric. Was it difficult to not explore every single aspect of modern music tech?
Well, I mean, I'm always exploring. I'm always getting weird. I'm just trying to push. For me, like the guitar is like the core, like everything of my life funnels through that one instrument. And then I dress it up in so many different ways around that.
I feel it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's crazy you're saying about like everybody's dream to like be locked in. And it's so interesting because I feel like when all my artist friends, like when we got off the road, they're like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna write? And all their managers were saying, you gotta write, you gotta write. And that's like, I think people wrote their worst stuff in those first couple months because somebody was telling them they had to write songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like then after a few months after that, then you were just like naturally flowing and writing. And then I think people are getting their best stuff.
I like it. Well, you gave us the best, and it sounds great on 93X. So thank you for blessing us.
Thank
Uh,
you.
what are you most proud of on the EP? What stands out to you? Like, yep, this is my moment. This is my accomplishment, and this will care at least introspectively, not for the reception and the radio play. That's tight. But what about you? What means the most?
Yeah, there's a song called Suicide Romantics. That's the last song on the EP. And that one means a hell of a lot to me. I wrote it a couple years ago and I just never could get the production right. And I wanted to just create an experience and just draw you out of whatever you were doing. Like if you're listening to that one on the subway, I hope you can just listen to the words and like the little birds that I bury in the back of the track that are chirping and just take you out of that moment for 3.5 minutes.
That's such a cheat code to add like birds or thunderstorms or rain. It adds like this sort of ambiance to the records, and it just I think it's it's biological. So as a human, we're like, oh, like it's evolutionary. Like we're going back to like a primal state. And what are emotions if not like our most primal state, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really great point because like if you ever like do a yoga class or something, I've only done a couple of them, but sometimes somebody will like put on this ambient music in the background and it has like the same effect on me as a great song. Like just listening to like birds chirping in the woods at the end of a class, And that's a really interesting observation. Yeah.
You can use that in a song. I just want like a little credit, just a small
Thank
credit.
you. Oh,
It's
you
fine.
got it. Yeah.
Does your background as a violinist ever come in handy when it comes to making rock records?
Oh, absolutely. Because those pieces that I was learning as a kid, um, they're hyper emotional and they're always focused around melody. Like it's one instrument playing usually one note at a time. The melody needs to be thrilling at all times. And that's always in my brain.
I can hear that in your vocal lines, very baroque, and they're sweeping the scale, but you don't hit them over the head with the theory. I think you can lose a lot of people if you get too smart with it. So it's translating very well.
Yeah, the second anybody's like analyzing the math of a song or something like that, I'm out. I just go, I don't know what a mode is. I don't know what these scales are. I just know if it feels good or if it feels bad. And that's that. And that's the only thing I go by.
That's all you need. Talking
Yeah.
about talking about feel, I like that. It's a good transition. You're doing my job for me, and I appreciate it. I was doing some prep for this, and you've discussed your wide range of influences from Elvis to EDM to hip hop. Who, in your eyes, in the modern day, is embodying the rock and roll spirit, but isn't from rock music? I think rock and roll spirit is it's a transcendent thing, and we can recognize it in rappers and DJs and pop artists. Who do you think has some rock and roll spirit that you are like, that's dope?
From the music world,
Yep,
um,
non-rock though.
non-rock. I mean, I think like Travis Scott is absolutely emblematic of rock music, just in the attitude. Like I think rock is an energy. I think it's an attitude. I don't think it's defined anymore by production choices. So without a doubt, yeah.
You think you'd ever cover a Travis song?
Not only if I thought I could create a version of it that was worth hearing.
Yeah, I mean that's a good filter for any song, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, One thing I appreciate about you is that you always release projects, but you also feed us with a fair amount of singles to keep it consistent. And that's the norm for every genre except for rock nowadays. Why do you think rock has resisted that evolution?
Man, I think it's like a philosophy thing. People in rock, they say, this is the way you got to do it. It's like very like top down, elder statesman kind of vibes. And we always did it like this. You got to do it like this. But in hip hop, if you're just like a kid who's like rapping over SoundCloud beats in your apartment in Chicago, like you don't have these people telling you the way you're supposed to make rap records. You know what I mean? You don't have these 2 hour long documentaries about the making of some iconic rap record nearly as much as you do as rock albums. So for me, like I very much am all about this hip hop mentality of like I make stuff on the laptop that I'm zooming with you on right now. And if I want to put it out next month, like I'll put it out next month. Like I always want to grow and evolve so fast, and now I can like the world can keep up with it.
And you can it's almost like you're lifting the curtain to your creative process. Like, hey, this is a pretty recent song, or you can go back and dig up a song from a few years ago, like Suicide Romantics, and put it out. Boom, there we go.
Oh, 100%.
Do you think the rock resistance to that has led to your desire to revive it in a way?
No, no, because I don't think of myself as reviving anything,
Okay.
like it's crazy. Like we call it classic rock and it's somehow called classic, but at the time it came out, it was the most innovating, cutting edge stuff of all time. It made everyone go crazy because they thought it was too ahead of its time. You know what I mean? So why has that now become, it's like the antithesis of what it all meant in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm very much of that mentality that they had in the 60s and 70s, which is like push, experiment, get weird, take out the violin bow or whatever. You know what I mean? Like push it, push it. Like that was heresy at the time. Why is that now the standard? Makes no sense.
Rock is heresy. Boom.
Exactly. If it's like, if people are saying that's not rock and roll, then it probably is.
That's a bar.
I mean,
That's a
like,
bar.
no, that's how I feel.
I like it. I also read in my prep that you're bringing the X factor to rock, and I think I understand. Is that
What is
a fair quote, or have you grown past that? You scoff at
I
it.
don't know the quote. I don't know what it means. What are you saying?
It was like in like 2016, 2017. It might have been post Rolling Stones. You're bringing the X factor. I'm like, oh, that's juicy.
Oh, early
Well,
days. Okay.
yeah, well, like what's the X factor? What's the rock and roll X factor? What do you think it is?
Just like, am I allowed to curse on the show?
Yeah, go for it.
Just not giving a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not giving a fuck about what anybody else is doing, career wise, musically, and just doing you. that to me, I feel like everybody has an X factor. Whether or not they choose to embrace it and show the world it is another thing. Like I always say, like I got no time to play it cool. I don't care if something is popular. Like I'm gonna take a big swing, and either it's gonna connect or I'm gonna fall on my fucking ass and I'm gonna be selling waters on the street for $1 each. You know, I don't care. So
Uh, Water is an element of life. We need it, so it's not the worst
that's
thing in the
right.
world, right?
And I'll just nourish life. Yeah, you know, it's a
Yeah.
win-win.
You're talking about hitting home runs. Mets or Yankees? Who am I supporting
I
with you?
I'm not like a big sports guy, but I come from a Yankees family, and it's like
Okay.
Yankees branded stuff. I assume you're neither.
I'm a Twins guy. So
I,
you
yeah.
guys you guys have beaten us for 16. I think what is it? We haven't won a playoff game versus you guys in 16 years. It's
Oh,
bad.
oh no.
But it's
No.
all good. I won't hold it against you. I'll hold it. Nah, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't know if they sponsor us or not. So we touched on this earlier. You've supported some monster bands like Rolling Stones and Muse. You've discussed that at length. We don't need to rehash it. But I do want to know, in hindsight, what lessons or tips did you learn from those experiences that you reference while recording or on stage?
Oh man. There is just like a certain sense of professionalism about that tour and those experiences that it's like everything you imagine it being, where it's like these guys can just like live and breathe art and then also be like professionals at the same time. It's kind of like thrilling to me to watch that. You know what I mean? Like they're just so at the top of their game. They're the best of the best. And that is what I always aspire to be like. There's no clowning around. There's no jagaloons. It's not like your buddy in the green room from Long Island, like just getting shit faced off everything you got. You know what I mean? In there. So it's like, it's very much like just this mentality of being top of the top. And I'm really obsessed with chasing it.
That duality of like the rock and roll thing that we've been hitting on and the professionalism. That's such an interesting, I guess, conflict, but not in a bad way. It's just funny
Okay.
to see those things like working together. Do you have a Keith Richards story?
No, I don't think I got to spend enough time with them. My story is that they were just the nicest guys in the world, and enormously grateful that they messed with my music because, like I was saying, like I put out the first song like 3-ish years ago. I didn't think anybody was gonna mess with it. I was just doing me, and to get that kind of endorsement's huge.
That's massive. Des Rocs, thank you for your time. We wish you continued success. The airplay in Minneapolis will continue and thrive and grow.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Have a great evening. All right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Have a good night. All right.
Take care.
See ya.